Hello, this is Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with a brand new Santa Cruz Otis Taylor Chicago model. Santa Cruz has worked with blues guitarist Otis Taylor for several years now, and they've had a signature model for him out for quite some time, but this is kind of a variation on that model. Let's step back just a little bit and take a look at the Otis Taylor model. The guitar is based on Santa Cruz's H model, which in turn is inspired by Gibson's Nick Lucas guitar, which has a deeper body than many instruments of this size, and that's what it's known for. The guitar also has a 13th fret neck joint, which is something found on some vintage Nick Lucas guitars. But other than that, it's really a pure Santa Cruz instrument. The original Otis Taylor signature model had Indian rosewood back and sides and a Sitka spruce top, while this guitar is inspired by the Santa Cruz 1929 line of instruments, and it's completely mahogany. It's got a mahogany top, back, and sides. Perhaps the most unusual feature of the Otis Taylor signature model, both this one, the Chicago model, and the standard one, is that it doesn't have frets above the 14th fret. The fingerboard is completely plain other than the inlay of Otis Taylor's logo, and in this case it also says Chicago on it. I guess Otis doesn't feel like he has to play up here, so why have the frets there in the first place? If you really wanted this model and needed the frets, you could get it custom made by Santa Cruz and have basically the same guitar with the frets available up there. The guitar has a long 25.325-inch scale. It's got a solid headstock, and it has Goto open back tuners. The fingerboard and bridge are made out of ebony, and it's noteworthy that the bridge is a beautiful pyramid design. Also wooden bridge pins, and there's some little details like the saddle of the guitar that is angled backwards slightly, which is something found on most Santa Cruz guitars. The guitar is tortoiseshell binding. And the neck profile is sort of a cross between a vintage design and a more modern feel. It's got a very, very slight V feel to it, but it really feels more like a half-rounded shape than a traditional vintage V shape. It's got a 1 11/16 inch width at the nut, and of course the guitar is beautifully set up and plays really nicely all over the neck. Typically, we think of mahogany top guitars as having a very pronounced mid-range, which is why a lot of blues players really like them. But I've really found that this particular guitar is quite versatile. I really don't think it fits the stereotype of sort of having a limited voice that some mahogany tops have. So let me show you how it sounds with some non-blues material. I'll tune it to DADGAD. See what that sounds like. I find the guitar quite responsive, which is very nice. Big dynamic range, sounds good with a soft attack and with a harder attack. And really the playability is excellent. I would probably have to get used to the 13th fret joint a little bit, but it's really not an issue. And you do get the sweet spot of the bridge that way, which otherwise would either be further in the front or further in the back if it was a 12th fret neck. And many people feel that right there in the center of this lower bout is really the ideal spot to excite the top. Let's also see what the guitar sounds like when it's played with a flat pick, and for that I'm going to invite Scott Nygaard to play the guitar a little bit. So that's the Santa Cruz Otis Taylor Chicago model. It's a beautiful new guitar. I encourage you to check it out at a Santa Cruz dealer, and I hope you come back to Peghead Nation to enjoy more of our gear demos. For Peghead Nation, I'm Teja Gerken.